Felger, Bert, Breer, big heavy hitter here for big Patriots news this afternoon. Antonio Brown to the fucking Patriots.
Unbelievable.
I would say unbelievable. It is unbelievable, but you just can't be surprised when the Patriots do something like this because they've been doing stuff like this for 20 years, Bert.
And you know what's interesting, Mike, is like I would have told you, 6-7 months ago, on field, he's a great fit for the Patriots. He's a great route runner. He works his ass off. Like he's the hardest worker in the Steelers building for an entire decade, the most productive guy that they've had there in a long, long time. It's just everything that's happened the last 6 or 7 months, I think throws up a caution sign for absolutely everyone. And so now we see if Bill can manage all of this. And he doesn't bat 1,000 with these sorts of risks. I mean, we've seen him strike out in the past with guys like Albert Haynesworth, Chad Johnson. Obviously, the Aaron Hernandez thinks something else entirely. But, I mean, look, this is the best receiver in football when he's good. And he doesn't seem to have been in a good place mentally. The last few months, we'll see where he is when he comes in.
Do you like it, Bert? Should they have done it?
I mean, I have to say, I got to see what the contract looks like, and what I was told, it was $9 million signing bonus. So that part of it, it at least indicates, and I don't know what the language is going to be as far as their ability to recover any of that, but it at least indicates that this is a pretty significant commitment, even if it's only for 1 year for the Patriots to make. And so, look, if anybody can get through to him, I think it's not necessarily Bill Belichick, it's Tom Brady. If anybody can keep him in line, I think it's Tom Brady. And if any team has a chance to do it, the Patriots probably have the best chance to do it. But, the Steelers, one of the most player-permissive environments in football, they'll put up with almost anything there, and he didn't work there in the end. And so this will be interesting.
Okay, folks, if you're just popping on, it's me and Bert Breer. We're going to give you about 15 minutes here on the Antonio Brown signing. If you want to join on the chat, just throw in some chats down below. We'll answer them as we go. Brian Norris says Patriots better pray they can protect Brady or it's a waste. So I see all the comments down there. We have one caller on the fan line as well. You hit that fan line button, you'll get your face on here and join us on the air. Just let me give you my thought on it off the top. I think it's fucking ridiculous. I think it's stupid. I really do. Do they need the guy? They're the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl anyway, or they're 1-2. They're right there. They've won 3 of the last 5. They've gone to 2 of the last 3. They have the best team in football without this. This guy's an asshole. It's not like he's misunderstood, Bert. It's not like, they brought in plenty of guys.
I mean,
questionable, but hold on. But I think a lot of those guys fell under the misunderstood category, right? And there were a few. Hainsworth wasn't misunderstood. He was just a bad guy.
Yeah.
But this is a bad guy. This is not a good guy they're bringing
in. And look, you say what you will about John Gruden. That guy had Antonio Brown's back. And this was completely different than Khalil Mack or Amari Cooper last year. John Gruden understood, this guy is on my record now. This guy is my acquisition. This is on me. And however this plays out, it's going to reflect on me going forward. And John Gruden did absolutely everything he possibly could to try and make that thing work. And what happens in the end? In the end, he winds up on a recorded phone call that goes up on YouTube the night before they release him. And so that piece of it to me is, no matter how this turns out, that was really crappy what he did in Oakland. You look at what happened in Pittsburgh, all of that was over not winning the team MVP. This guy's history, Mike, and I'll just tell you this, okay? Like I said, hardest worker in the building in Pittsburgh and was the most productive guy in the building in Pittsburgh. And that'll buy you a lot of cover with the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you're those two things, they'll put up with a lot of shit there.
And talk about, I think you just meant Oakland. They'll take Attila the fucking Hun. They'll sign Saddam Hussein if he's available. We're talking about the Raiders, who have signed every single miscreant and asshole in this league, and that's their motto.
Yep.
And Antonio Brown couldn't make it in Oakland and Pittsburgh, which again, like you said, very player friendly.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
You don't need the guy. Why? You don't. Why? And to
because I think Bill looks at this as 5 months, right? So if I can keep him in line for 5 months, then I'm going to get the best receiver in football. And look, whether or not he can keep him in line for 5 months, we'll see. Because the flip side of this is there are 2 elements that everyone in Pittsburgh, and you can talk to anybody who was there, anybody in Pittsburgh will tell you, these 2 elements always existed with Antonio Brown, even when things were going good. Number one, he's an attention whore. He needs attention. That's what this was over the last couple of weeks, by the way. Once he fell out of the news, he had to come back into the news. You saw it with all the social media stuff the last couple of weeks. And then the second piece of this, little things set him off. He's a ticking time bomb. And there's
He's
little things.
He's not well.
There's the team. I mean, last year, the whole reason the Pittsburgh thing blew up last year, right, was because against the Saints in Week 16, saw a lot of double coverage. Juju Smith-Schuster went off as a result. Later that week, Juju Smith-Schuster got team MVP, and he blew up, wound up out of the facility, and that was the beginning of the end with the Steelers. So those two things have existed with him for 11 years now. Those two things have been there the whole time he's been in the NFL. Number one, needs attention. Number two, little things are the things that set him off.
Okay, got a couple questions on the comment line. How are his feet? Are we convinced that he's healthy?
He looked healthy. I mean, I know the Raiders felt like he was going to be ready to go on Monday night. So whether he's 100% or not, I'm not sure. But I do know that the Raiders thought he would be ready to go against the Broncos on Monday night.
Okay, so that's fine. Yeah. How about someone also asked, do you think in any way Antonio Brown did this on purpose to get released to get to New England? I mean, Marty Bennett did that a couple of years ago in Green Bay.
Yeah, I think it was Will Brinson from CBS. He had a theory out there that actually makes some sense that the Raiders may have been at the edge of cutting him. And look, like, what does an agent do? If we're going to be real about this, what does an agent do in those situations? An agent's job is to check what the market is. And maybe at some point in that little area, like little gray area there between the blow up on Wednesday and Friday night, maybe somewhere in there, Drew Rosenhaus was able to ascertain that the New England Patriots would have interest if he became available. And then maybe it was time for him to shoot his way out of Oakland. It's not impossible to think that's the case, especially because this thing happened very, very quickly on Saturday.
Okay, Boston Sports Takes says we've heard from multiple veterans about how tight this team has been over the summer. Brown could benefit from such a strong veteran group. Yeah, this is a great place for Antonio Brown. I don't give a fuck about Antonio Brown. I care about the team. I care about.
He's not 23 years old. He's 31. Like, does he need to be mentored? Like, you're not going to change him.
But even still, that's not my. I don't care about. I don't care about his well-being. He's in charge of himself. I'm not worried about him and his well-being. I'm worried about the Patriots and the thing that they have there and the thing that they have built. There are very few guys, Bert, who I think would have the capability to come in here and really upset what they've been doing. Antonio Brown might be one of them. He might be someone that could really. I mean, and it takes a lot because their locker room is so strong, and for all the reasons we know. So it would take a real first-class ass clown to come in here and do, upset the apple cart. And he might just be capable of it. He might be. And
that's why I think the language in the contract and their ability to get out of it is so important. And look, I used to be in that camp where it was like, if you throw the wrong guy in there, it could mess things up. And then in 2010, Randy Moss went off the reservation at the beginning of the year, and they wound up 14-2 in the number one seed in the AFC. The next year, they acquired Albert Haynesworth and Chad Johnson, I believe on the same day, right? And both those guys washed out. Albert Haynesworth was a colossal disaster, and that didn't mess anything up. They wound up in the Super Bowl that year. And so I think part of this for Bill is, he's emboldened a little bit by the fact that he's seen the worst-case scenario, and even in the worst-case scenario, it hasn't sent his team off the rails, which is a luxury that almost no other team in the NFL has.
Okay, we have a fan on the fan line. Let's grab him. Here's Ross on the fan line. He'll pop up and he jumps off. You can jump on there, and there you go. Your reaction to Antonio Brown to the New England Patriots. It's just, I think it's ridiculous.
You look like you're gonna be sick.
I don't know why they're doing it. That doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. I mean, they're short on. I mean, again, he's a great player at a good price. They're short on receivers. I get all that, but they're a Super Bowl favorite without him. Do we not have Ross on the fan line? I thought we did. Let me go back through some of the comments. Someone said before that they think McDaniels and this is about McDaniels and Caserio, not about Belichick. Do you buy that?
That Josh and Nick wanted him?
Yeah.
No,
it's about Bill. Bill's still in complete control.
I mean, I would say it's even more likely that Tom Brady said that because I'll give you something here. One thing that was sort of out there that somebody from another team mentioned this to me over the summer on Josh Gordon, that when they made that trade last fall, that Bill actually went to Brady and said, I need like this is you. If I'm going to trade for him, then we're going to need you to play a big role here, which is why all of a sudden Gordon started popping up on Brady's Instagram right? Like even during the suspension, you saw Brady really supporting Gordon and all of that different stuff. And so what makes more sense to me than Josh and Nick, because I think Josh and Nick are sort of soldiers in the army for Belichick.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Like what makes more sense to me is maybe this was in part Brady. Maybe Brady said, we need someone else. This guy makes sense. I will be responsible for handling Antonio Brown. That's completely possible.
Okay, let's grab some fan line here. Johnny just jumped onto the fan line. You can do it too by hitting that. It's been so long since I've been on this thing. There's a fan line button you hit, and you can jump on here. And your computer, your smartphone will just use your camera, and that pops you right up. Go ahead, Johnny. What do you got?
Hey, what's up, guys? So the whole Brady-Belichick Palace Q thing going on, and if Tom Brady didn't want Antonio Brown, he wouldn't be here. So the first thing I got to say on this matter is Belichick and Brady's relationship obviously has to be a lot better than you'd imagine if Brady goes, hey, Bill, I want this guy to throw to because you got rid of you forced out my tight end, doesn't want to come back because of injury. Josh Gordon could be off the reservation in any second, so go get me Antonio Brown for $9 million guaranteed for a year. So does this say anything about the Brady-Belichick relationship?
Thanks for the call, Johnny. We'll drop you. To me, I think it makes. I mean, obviously, Tom Brady wants the best receiver in football. So,
yeah.
And Brady doesn't care if he's an asshole. So Brady wants him. And face it, Bill and the Patriots love a good deal. And if you get the best receiver in football for only $9 million guaranteed, I'm still surprised they gave him so much guaranteed money. By the way,
yeah, I am too.
But that is a discount. You're giving him only half of only half of it guaranteed. So it's a good deal. It checks that box. Patriots love a good deal, and Brady wants his receivers. So it all makes sense.
I mean, God, if you're Julian Edelman though, right now, what are you thinking? If you had to fight for every dollar the way Julian Edelman had to fight for every dollar the last 11 years, what are you thinking right now?
Do you think Julian Edelman is happy or unhappy with this move?
I mean, it'll probably make things easier for him on the football field, but I mean, think about it. He had to come back on a one-year deal in 2013, and then they give him a far below market deal after that. And even now, like you look at the incentives that are built into his deal, if I'm like another skill, like Rob Gronkowski, what would Rob Gronkowski think right now if he looks at this and says, like, well, wait a second, like right. You held that 8-year contract over my head like a noose for the majority of my career. And now this guy blows his way out of Oakland, and you're just handing him $9 million. So I think like we talk a lot about how like one contract plays into another. Like, wouldn't you think that this would have? I don't know. I would think that like if you're another guy who really had to fight for every dollar, the way they make a lot of guys fight for every dollar, Tom Brady included, you'd probably look at this a little sideways.
Who's the receiver? Who's the odd man out at receiver?
I would think it'd be Gunner. That would be my guess. I mean, it's the obvious one, right? Like, I think Jacoby Myers is somebody who's a little difficult to cut right now because you risk losing him. Like, if you want to match it up, like if they want to keep their young guys and they're really about developing this going forward too, then the guy who doesn't play special teams who'd be easy to get rid of right now might be Demaryius Thomas.
So you think that Well,
although he did you the solid of like you cut him and he agreed to come back and he helped you with a logistical move. The one that matches up best, and Bill thinks about special teams with all of these, like you're adding a player in Antonio Brown who's not going to help you on special teams. That's a position where you generally get special teams help from. The guy who would match up cleanest, right? The cleanest guy to get rid of would be Demaryius Thomas.
Let's grab Robbie on the fan line. He joins us next. Again, just hit the fan line button there on your screen, and we'll pop you right up. Burt Breer, Felger here. We got about another 5-10 minutes to go. Got to get on with our day, but wanted to give you a little something on a really shocking move. Hey, Robbie, what do you got?
So is there some kind of clause in the Antonio Brown contract that we know of that protects the Patriots if he just loses his goddamn mind like he's known to do?
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, like, I don't know for sure, but I'll tell you exactly what was in the Raider contract. If I can pull it up here and it give you an idea at least of what this was, because there's really no gray area in the way the Raiders wrote this contract. And it basically said that he defaults on his guarantees. And hang on one second. The language in his contract says that if at any time the player does not report to the club, does not practice or play with the club, leaves the club without prior written approval, then the player shall be in default of the guarantee, and the guarantee will be null and void. So I would assume the Patriots would put some sort of protection in the contract where if he were to just up and leave, or if he were to go off the reservation in any way, they not only would be able to stop paying him, they would also be able to recover some of that bonus.
You know what I'm surprised about, Robbie? $9 million up front. So they just did they write a check for $9 million fucking dollars today?
Yeah.
Not only that, if he cannot get along with Ben Roethlisberger, how the hell is he going to get along with Tom Brady?
So, Robbie, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. That to me, that of all the surprising things, I think that's the number one surprising thing. They wrote him a check for $9 million today.
I wouldn't be surprised right now. I wouldn't have been surprised, Mike, if it was. I wouldn't have been surprised if this was like a 1-year deal with a $4 million base and then upside to get to 12 or something like that. That wouldn't have surprised me. I'm with you. The $9 million signing bonus caught me off guard.
Right. I thought for sure it would be a prove-it deal. Well, and I guess it still is because the other half isn't guaranteed, but they gave him $9 million up front. So that's his reward for being a giant, complete, team-killing asshole. He gets a $9 million check and a better team. That's a great –
I mean, we got a review this week for him because on Wednesday he puts the thing up on Instagram, the fine letter up on Instagram. Then he shows up to work, gets into a confrontation with the GM, calls him a cracker and a bitch. He's not in the facility on Thursday, so Thursday's his day off. Friday he comes back, tearful apology to the team, right? Tearful apology to the team. He's back with the team. Gruden declares everything's okay. Then later that night, he's putting something up on YouTube with a recorded conversation with the head coach that was supposed to be private, that was all about fixing all of this. And now Saturday, of course, he's cut, and now he's a Patriot.
Which is, oh, by the way, is illegal. You're not allowed to record someone without their knowledge. And that's flat out.
You may have some court date. Like I don't know, maybe like week 9, like court date comes into play. Maybe I don't know.
That is fucking illegal. You get your ass sued for that. And Gruden laughed it off, but Jesus Christ.
Here's what else is interesting to me, Mike. Bill's very close with the two guys in charge in Oakland.
Yeah, that's right.
John Gruden and Mike Mayock. He's very close with both those guys. I would think he probably talked to one or both. I don't know for sure, but I would think he'd probably make that phone call.
Let's grab Peter. He's on the fan line. He joins us next. Bert and Felger here doing a little Fancred emergency session for the Antonio Brown signing. What a team. Seriously. What a team.
Hey,
Go
Bert.
ahead, Peter. What do you got?
Bert and Felger, how are you?
Good,
What's
man.
up for you? I have 2 quick ones. How quickly do you think the Pats can incorporate Brown into the offense? And do you think Brady will feel pressure to throw to him?
Okay.
I know sometimes we're always concerned with that with Moss and sometimes Gronk as well.
Those are good questions, Peter. We'll drop you and just answer them.
Sure.
The first thing, Bert, you figure he's going to be able to pick up the offense.
Yeah. He's been in the league for so long. I mean, if he can't make it work all the way right away, they're going to make it work for him. We've seen the Patriots do that in the past. Okay.
The other thing is Brady going to feel pressure to throw to him. That's something that I think is real, and that I think is a risk. Brady, I think in the past has fallen into that with some guys to his detriment. The Randy Moss thing became a detriment to the Patriots offense. They forced it to Gordon last year, and that hurt the offense. So I absolutely think that happens to Brady, and I absolutely think it's not a good thing, and there's potential for it here.
And his money, this is a guy, his money is important to him. I mean, I know a lot of people in the league feel like one of the reasons why he chose the end of last year to go off the reservation in Pittsburgh was because he was out of his guaranteed money. He knew going into 2019, no guaranteed money left. When did he go off the reservation in Oakland? When the Raiders moved to avoid his guaranteed money there. And so now he's playing for a new contract in 2020, right? Like he's playing for what might be his final NFL contract.
This is interesting.
If his numbers are down, like that's going to affect that, And so it's not in. I mean, I don't think you're making too much of a leap to think that positioning himself for 2020 free agency isn't going to be very important for him. And so if he gets halfway through the year, he's got 30 catches. Is that going to be a problem? I think it's a fair question to ask.
Right. He's going to want the ball. And he does not respond well when he doesn't get it. He is that guy. I wonder if they have the ability to franchise him.
That's a good question. I don't know that yet. But we've seen them in the past do these things where they'll promise a guy they won't franchise him. And they haven't used the franchise tag on anything but kickers recently. So look, the franchise tag for receivers is $15-16 million. I'd be surprised if they were that worried about tagging him next year.
Okay, commenter Dave said, the thing I said about recording someone and publicizing it being illegal, he says, no, not in every state. I think it's illegal.
In California, it is. In California, actually, we had some people who looked it up. Yeah, in California, it is.
Yeah, I thought, I'm like, not only is this an asshole move, I think this is against the law.
Yeah.
And it turns out it was. But, I'll say this about Antonio Brown. He didn't make Gruden look bad. I think he made Gruden, and I think that's why Gruden didn't have a problem with it, because I think Gruden came off well in that thing.
Yeah.
Can you just play football, man?
Yeah.
Let's grab Josh on the fan line. He's up next with Bert and myself. Someone on here on the comments just said the Patriots now once again the odds-on favorite for the Super Bowl. They've fallen behind Kansas City last week in some of the books.
Mm-hmm.
And so with this move, they go right back ahead. How you doing, Josh? What do you got?
Hey, how much of this is the grand finale circus of Belichick just going, hey, it's my last round. I'm going to go out with a big F you. And because he's got that in him. You know what I mean?
No, it's true.
I honestly feel like that's what it is.
Thanks for calling in. I think absolutely. It's, you know what? Fuck y'all. We're going to win.
A nice F you to Pittsburgh, a nice F you to Oakland, a nice F you to the NFL. Like, you can't make this guy work, but I can make this guy work. Watch me.
And I do wonder, is it something they would do early on in the run? I don't think so. I don't think, and they've been out for so long, but when Bill was really conscious of establishing the culture way back when.
Well, one of the things, Mike, we have to, this is normally they bought really, even like with Moss, right? Like there were 2 years left on his deal. It was pretty expensive. And they negotiated that way down when he came in here. It wound up being like one year and $5 million or whatever it was. And then they paid him after that. They almost always buy really, really low on these guys. Hainsworth was the same way. Chad Johnson. This is not like $9 million sign bonus. That's not buying low on the guy. And so that's I'm with you on that part. That's what's surprising about it, is that it doesn't really feel like they're buying that low on the guy. Yeah, they don't have to give him a draft pick, but they're committing a lot of money, and he's way up in their salary structure right away.
Okay, JJ said I had my man bun tonight. It's not. It's just hat head. It's just I haven't showered today, JJ. Okay, we're going to wrap it up on that. I got to go. For those of you out there who are watching, we are doing fourth quarter live here on Fancred. I'm not sure who I'm doing it with tomorrow, but during the fourth quarter of the Patriots game tomorrow night, join us right back here. We'll be doing it live with your comments and your call-ins and all of that. Bert, thanks so much for doing this. We appreciate it.
You got it, Mike.
Bye.